All right, today we're going to do something a little different. We're not just learning geography, we're actually going to solve a puzzle. We're going to take apart a classic exam trap, and by the end, you'll have a brand new way to think, not just, memorize facts.
And really, this gets to the heart of it. The people who design these exams, they're not looking for walking encyclopedias. They want to know, can you connect the dots? Can you think your way through a tricky problem? That's the skill they're actually testing.
Okay, so let's set the stage. We're going to dive into a specific question about something called isotherms. And let me tell you, this thing is a perfect example of an intellectual trap. It's designed specifically to reward the people who really get the concepts, not just the details.
And that's our focus today. We're not just learning about isotherms, we're learning a whole new way of thinking. We're going to pull back the curtain on the logic behind this question, and once you see how it works, you'll have this powerful new tool in your back pocket for all sorts of other problems. Okay, so every good investigation has to start with the basics, right? Our first clue, the main piece of evidence we need to understand, is the isotherm itself. So what in the world is an isotherm? Well, let's just break the word down. Iso means same. Therm means temperature. So put it together, an isotherm is just a line on a map that connects all the places that have the exact same temperature. Simple as that. But you know what? Forget the textbook definition for a moment. Just imagine you have this magic pen. And as you drag it across a map of the world, it automatically connects every single spot that's, let's say, 10 degrees Celsius. That line your magic pen just drew, that's your isotherm. All right, now we get to the big one. The golden rule, the thing that unlocks this entire puzzle. And it all boils down to one simple, fundamental difference: how land and water handle heat. I want you to think of it like this. Land is like a thin metal pan on a stove. It gets hot fast, but as soon as you turn the heat off, it cools down just as quickly. Now the ocean, that's like a giant pot of water. It takes forever to heat up, right? But once it's warm, it holds on to that heat for a really long time. This simple difference, this is the key to absolutely everything we're talking about. Okay, detective time. Let's take our golden rule and apply it to the scene of the crime. And in this case, the scene is the Northern Hemisphere, and the time is January. Let's just walk through the logic here, step by step. First, it's January. That means it's winter up in the Northern Hemisphere. So the land, it gets cold really fast. But the ocean, which is still holding on to all that heat from the summer, it cools down way, way slower. So, and this is the key point, in the winter, the ocean is actually warmer than the land. Now, if our magic pen has to connect points with the same temperature, it's got to bend north towards the pole over that warmer ocean to find air that's cold enough to match the temperature back on the continent. See how that works? And this leads us to a super simple rule that you can just lock in your brain. In the Northern Hemisphere, isotherms always bend north over warm stuff and south over cold stuff. Just remember, warm bends north, cold bends south. It's really that simple. Okay, so we've got all our clues, we have the golden rule, we've applied the logic to the crime scene. Now it's time to face the exam question head on and expose the final twist in this whole thing. But you're probably thinking, wait a minute, if the logic is that simple, where's the trap? It's a great question, right? If land versus ocean is so straightforward, how do they trick people with this? Well, the trap isn't in the main concept. It's in an extra layer of detail they throw in. Ocean currents. You see, some currents, like the famous Gulf Stream, are warm, and they push warm water north. But other currents, like the Labrador Current, are cold, and they bring chilly water south. And this little detail, this is what they use to set the trap. So let's look at the actual question. The first part says isotherms bend north over the ocean in January. And based on our logic, yeah, that's 100% correct. But then look at the second part. It tries to give a reason, mentioning the Gulf Stream, but it calls the Gulf Stream a cold current, and anyone who knows their currents knows that is just flat out wrong. And there it is. That's the trap, laid bare. It's actually pretty clever, right? They mix a totally correct concept, how isotherms bend, with a completely wrong fact. They took a famous warm current and just called it cold. What they're testing is, are you just memorizing facts, or do you understand the core concept well enough to spot that the reason they gave makes absolutely no sense? So what's the big lesson here? What's the takeaway that you can use for way more than just this one question? It's all about having a concept-first mindset. You see, this question was never really about whether you memorized a list of ocean currents. It was about whether you understood the why.
Why do isotherms bend in the first place? If you knew that core reason, that land cools faster than water, you'd immediately know the first part of the statement was correct, and you'd instantly see that the second part was a total contradiction.
And here's the thing you have to remember. These exams, they almost never repeat the exact same facts. But the concepts? Oh, they repeat those over and over and over again, just in different disguises. If you truly get the core logic of how isotherms work, they could throw any continent, any ocean, any current at you, and you just won't get trapped.
So my final thought for you is this. Always, always ask why. Don't just memorize what happens. Dig deeper and understand the fundamental reason why it happens. Focus on that core logic and you'll find that all the little details just start to fall into place. The real question is, what other concepts are you ready to unlock now?